just want to give people a few minutes to get on. If you are joining me now, say hey, how you doing? So we can get started and get into our chat tonight. I am excited to just share with you guys tonight because there are some things that I have really been experiencing that is amazing because I haven't really experienced this type of win before. So tonight we're going to be talking about maximizing the time or maximizing the grace to get things done. That's what we're talking about tonight. There is a grace to achieve your goals. And I have experienced this grace in like a really amazing way. So we're going to give people a few minutes to get on. If you are joining me, say hey, share this broadcast, and we will get started in a minute or two. For those who do not know me, if you are just joining, my name is Coach Ronda. I am the owner of a business called RSB Coaching, where we help people break through and get focused on living the life that God called them to live. I believe that everybody is called to advance the kingdom in some way, in some sphere of influence. And so that's what the focus is, talking about advancing the kingdom. And advancing the kingdom is really just you taking authority and pushing or plowing forward in whatever sphere of influence that God has given to you. And that sphere of influence could be on your job, at your church, in your business. The Lord could be calling you out to do something amazing. Like he could be calling you to start a business. He could be calling you to transform lives through some type of act of service. And so that's what advancing the kingdom is all about. And again, if you are just joining, I am live on Periscope, my business page, as well as my personal Facebook page, so that we can get it all in, kill a whole lot of birds with one stone. And so tonight, I just want to talk to you and give you guys some tips and how to maximize the grace to get things done. Over this past week, I have really sensed and even experienced just a grace to do things that used to be extremely hard. I have multiple responsibilities that I do on a daily basis, both personally in my business, at church, and then at home. And previously, it had been not necessarily difficult, but just trying to understand and get things together, and how to get into a motion was difficult. But I've noticed over this past week that it has really become very easy. Like the Lord is breathing on our actions. He's breathing on the things that he has given to us to do. And a lot of the things that I have been able to achieve this week alone is stuff that has been very difficult for, I'll say, the past 6 months to a year. And so that's why I believe it's very important that we learn how to maximize our time and maximize the wind of God, because when we talk about just partnering with the Lord, timing is key. And so there are some things that he has placed in your hands. There are some things that he has commissioned you to do, and now is the ripe time. Like now is the time to begin to move into these things. And so I want to go ahead and get started. So number one, I'm just going to give you about 4 tips on how to maximize your time, and then just talk to you about some things that you need to start doing or thinking about if you are not sure what you are supposed to be doing or which way you are supposed to be moving forward. Before we even get into the tips, I want to talk a little bit about discouragement, right? If you have had an idea of something that you were supposed to be doing, whether you were supposed to get a promotion or whether you were supposed to step out and start your business and it didn't work, whether you were supposed to step out into a relationship that didn't work, I feel like now, and I'm stressing this thing because this scope tonight will be very important. Now is the time for you to move. So I want you to pull out your old journals. Think about those old things that those ideas that you had that you were excited about maybe years ago, and begin to dust those things off. Whether you were supposed to purchase some property, whatever that thing was, that was even some things that were unfairly I won't say stolen, but just you were supposed to get a promotion and you didn't get it because of man, things like that. We're going to talk about those things tonight, and I'm going to teach you how to maximize the wind of God in this season. It is very important. And so number one, the first thing, one of the things that you want to do in order to be able to maximize this wind is evaluate what you need to execute, right? So if you have had issues or problems with procrastination, if you have had problems with just getting into the motion to get motivated, now is a special grace and a time for you to start moving. I can attest to really struggling with the motivation, but what the Lord has shown me over the past few weeks is that lack of motivation was due to me really not knowing which way I wanted to go. Excuse me, y'all. Some things were just confusing. It was like I had all of these moving parts and all of these different responsibilities, but I didn't know how to begin to walk out and execute it. And so what the Lord showed me to do, which is what I'm telling you guys to do, is you got to evaluate what you need to execute. And that could be, what do you want? What do you want? I feel like there's a special grace and just the wind of God on the God ideas that he's placed in us. And so you have to think about, what do you want? What do you want to do? What ideas did you have or do you have that you want to execute? What do you want to see happen in your life now? What do you want to see? And I won't even say start looking at timelines, because timelines sometimes can get you overwhelming. Just think about, what do you want to do? What do you want to see happen? What are some things that God said to you 5 months ago, 6 months ago, 10 years ago that you have been putting off? What are some things that maybe you put it on the back burner because you had kids? Maybe you just postpone it. What are some things that you've been putting off? What are some responsibilities that you need to handle? Whether it's that you want to buy a house and you need to get your credit right. What are some ideas that you would like to execute? So that could be anything from, say, starting a blog or vlogging or getting a promotion. What do you need to do to get a promotion? Creating a course and becoming a life coach, going back to school. These are all things where, in order for you to begin to maximize the wind that God is breathing now in this season, you have to sit down and think about these things. And sometimes it can be scary, right? But we don't believe in fear. You got to start sitting and begin to think about these things. The second thing you need to do is write it down. Now, when it comes to writing things down, my mindset personally, and I don't know about you, but my mindset is used to going in a 1, 2, 3 step order, right? And so I would struggle with writing things down or writing my vision and making it plain, because in my mind I had to have everything together. But what I've learned over time is that when you write things down, the details of whatever it is, don't worry about all of that. Just start writing ideas down. Literally, I have multiple books that look just like this that I carry with me all the time to write out ideas. These are ideas of things that come to you. It could be something as simple, anything from having to contact somebody in an email to needing to create a business plan. Whatever the ideas are that come to you, write them down in no shape or fashion. What I call this process is brain dumping. So begin to dump your thoughts. Write them out or type them out in your notepad. Begin to write these things out and somewhere. Transfer the data from your mind to paper. And once you have done that, fill up your planner. And I usually walk through my clients with these types of processes of how to take the data that you transfer out of your thoughts and then begin to put it in your planner so you can execute. But one of the main things that I want you to understand, even with writing things out, and these are the visions or the ideas that God is calling you to do, it is not as hard as it has been presented. And what I mean by that is a lot of times people will say, hey, you need to plan, or hey, you need to write the vision and make it plain. And they don't necessarily give you specific steps in how to do that. And I know for me personally, my mind would become so overwhelmed that I would just check out. But the Lord has given me great strategies in how to write this vision out and then transfer it into applicable ways to walk this thing out. And this is how you really begin to move in your purpose and move in what God is calling you to do, because we have been called to do some great things. With everything that's going on in the earth, it is time to shift. And so the Lord is making it easy and applicable. He is raising up people who can make these things applicable and tangible so people can walk it out. And so when you're thinking about the things that you want to do, number one, you have to think about what you want to execute, and then write the stuff down, dump it onto paper, and then fill your planner, right? When you begin to fill your planner, you're filling it with the things that you dumped out in your notebook, right? And I love planners. I love planners. Hey, Alexis, I love planners. However, it's important in order for you to maximize the wind of God that He is breathing in this hour. The next thing that I would tell you to do is consult your village. Consult your team, right? What is your village? These are your friends. These are your mentors. These are your spiritual leaders, people, your coaches, people who you have divinely connected to in this hour. Now, the thing about it, that is this, and I hear this a lot. When people say, well, I can't really talk to my friends about everything, or I don't really have people that I can talk to. That is not a good thing, because when you have your village or your team, these are people that you can bounce information off of, who is there to help you walk in what you have been called to do. I have many mentors, personal mentors, both spiritual leaders and mentors, and I have a coach. I have people that I work with, my friends. Even in our basic conversation, I have friends that I can go and talk to, and I tell them what I'm working on. I tell them the ideas that I have, and they have insight and wisdom, and we exchange. But also with spiritual leaders and coaches and mentors are important in this season, because they will help shorten the time of something that would take 10, 15 or 20 years, because you don't have all of the information. They've already walked it out. So when you on purpose and intentionally get a coach, get a mentor, talk to your spiritual leaders, and get people around you who have access and wisdom into the missing pieces that you don't have, it will speed up your time. Just in this week, from talking to the spiritual leaders, from connecting to mentors, and talking to my coach, and friends. Like, these are people, this is stuff that I walked just this week. I have literally cut down planning, preparation, and execution time in half, just from being able to have these people around me. And so it's important, whether you have mentors and coaches are lifesavers, I'm telling you, because the information and the wisdom and the execution that they have already done, it literally makes it so that you don't have to struggle to create certain things, because they have blueprints and they have insight and they have wisdom to help you walk this thing out. So if you're trying to start a business, say for instance you bake, Alexis, or say for instance you have just whatever gift it is, you like to read, like you can actually create and make money off of almost anything. And so say for instance you're starting a business, or you want to go back to school, you want to reach out to people who know a little bit about what you're trying to do. You want to connect to people, and if you don't know, you know that there are people around you who will champion you. And if you don't have people that will champion you, you need to change your environment. It is important for this season, in order for you to maximize the time and the wind of God that is being breathed, the grace that He's giving you, to connect to people who have what you need. And not just I'm connecting to you because I want what you have, but really, how can we partner? How can we come together? How can we begin to move forward and work together to make this thing happen? Even with discouragement, I know a lot of people have been discouraged because of just different things, different doors that you thought were going to open and they closed, or different experiences that you thought you were going to have and it didn't happen, promotions and all of these types of things. That was then. That is not what's happening now. God is literally breathing and maximizing our efforts. Hey, Leah, I'm so happy to see you. But God is literally maximizing the efforts that we are putting forth. And so even with that, like, you have to begin to connect to people who know more than you know. And it's not a time to be afraid. Even with fear. I used to struggle with fear a lot. But even what I'm seeing is when you resist the devil, right? But when you push that past that initial fear, everything you need is on the other side of it. So it's very important to begin to push past whatever the emotional stuff is, because I think sometimes we get so hung up on the emotional, trying to overcome fear or trying to overcome these negative things that try to hold us back, that we lose sight of what we are supposed to be doing. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a reason why they are on the earth. And so it is so important that you begin to connect to the right people. And I'm so excited about this topic because I'm seeing this thing manifest. So after you evaluate what you need to do, what you need to execute, and you write it down, the next thing, consulting your village. And like I said, that's mentors, friends, your friends that you have, because God wastes nothing, right? Nothing is wasted. So even the friendship, the conversations that you have with friends should be conversations that push you forward, conversations that begin to get your wheels turning. Even your hey girl, what you doing should be a hey girl, what you doing that starts pushing you right purpose, that starts pushing you into the right direction. Even your let's go out to eat should lead to like an enlightenment moment where the Lord reveals or downloads something to you that you did not know, or something that you were not aware of that can help you in your purpose. I'm literally seeing that the Lord is connecting the dots like puzzle pieces. Over this past week, I have every conversation that I have had with people, even people that I did not know, was divinely orchestrated, where that person had the next piece that I needed for what I'm building, for what He's called me to build. I made connections with people that I would have never made connections to, that I would have never even thought about talking about. I've learned and received the missing links to things where I'm like, God, I've been praying for this for years, and these things are laying out and they are laying plain to where I understand it. And so you have to maximize the time. You got to maximize the grace of God, the wind that He is blowing, in order for you to do what He's called you to do, right? So after you write it down and you begin to consult your village, the next thing, like I said, the next thing you want to do is you have to begin to execute as the wind blows. So what I mean by this, execute as the wind blows, is if you're a person that has struggled with like procrastination, and I'm telling you this because I was, and you heard me say was, because there is a wind and a grace to move past procrastination. So if you're somebody that has struggled with procrastination, when you get into alignment in the groove of what God is saying and telling you to do, you will experience a rush or a wind of acceleration. Literally, I have experienced this wind this whole week, to where things like ideas and the ability to execute and contact and grow and develop and just do things in a mighty way has begun to flow. So if you're somebody that has struggled with procrastination, when you begin to move in what God is saying, that means do not stop or quench the thought process. Don't quench what God is telling you to do. They say don't quench the Spirit. The Holy Spirit is pouring out His Spirit on all flesh. And literally it is bringing great revelation. And so when you have an idea, it's not just an idea, ooh, that's nice. Literally, like we said earlier, begin to write this stuff down and dump it, right? Because as you begin to maximize this grace, you're going to see stuff start coming together. So if you're confused about what should I be doing, go back and ask the Lord, what was the last thing you told me to do that I did not do? And when he reveals that thing, act on it. The more you act, the stronger the wind will become, to where you will begin to pick up momentum. One of the things is you got to maximize your downtime, right? And that's the fourth thing. When you execute as the wind blows, that's maximizing. Alexis, I love you, girl. That's maximizing the downtime. When you maximize the downtime, what is your free time? What is the free time? Your free time is any time that you are not operating or executing a specific task. So like, I may set aside a time for me to study, to get together content, right? To do a live, right? The time that I'm not doing that is when I'm going to be executing the things that I have written down in my book, right? That I have brain dumped. So if I have to email a friend to see if they finished a flyer, I can do that in my downtime. If I need to chat to see if, or contact somebody to see if they have finished a proposal that we were working on, I have time to do that. If I need to call a venue or whatever, I do those things in my downtime. If I need to listen to a training so that I can get, expand my knowledge around the topic or around whatever the thing it is that I'm trying to execute. YouTube is awesome. I literally have YouTube on my phone to where I listen to it all the time. If I need to be inspired, YouTube. If I want to know how to manage a project, YouTube. If I need to, you hear me? If I need to read the Bible app literally has a button that you can press and it will read the Bible for you. I listen to it. When I don't have time to like sit down and just read my Bible, I will listen to the Bible app. Why? Because I'm getting information. So that's what maximizing your time is. In that free time, in the time where you're not specifically focused on a task, you can be using that time to keep the book that I told you, get a journal, that you brain dumping in as stuff come to you. You start pulling this thing out and saying, hey, what can I do now? Go through this book and begin to execute. This will literally maximize your time. I have done so much from Monday to Thursday to where I'm like, my mind is blown. God is blowing my mind literally. And so making sure you maximize that free time, right? Writing down ideas and thoughts that come to you. I keep saying that, but that's because, you know how I said write the vision and make it plain? Everything will not come to you. And this is where I messed up for years. Everything is not going to come to you at one time. And so what happens is as the Lord gives you an idea, so when you have your meditation time or when you have your time where you're spending time with the Lord and the Lord gives you an idea, you write that idea out, right? It doesn't have to be a long paragraph. It could be one sentence. But as you write that thing down and you meditate on it as you go throughout your day, he may give you another idea. He may say, hey, contact somebody. And that's why it's important for you to know how God talks to you. That is the number one thing that people really have to learn how to maximize. Understand how the Lord speaks to you. Understand how he communicates, because that will be your leading and guiding force as you move forward. What is God saying to you? Write this thing down, because he expands thoughts. So one thought, one idea of, I might need to do an event this year. Write it down. As you do that, the Lord will expand it. I want you to call it this. I want it to look this way. I want you to use this color. Why don't you contact this one? And he will begin to lay this stuff out. And even if you don't have time to do it right that second, because many of us are super busy. So even if you don't have time to do it right that second, you have time to write it down in 2.5 seconds, right? So you don't even have to sit and write it out for hours. This is something that you can jot down for a point of reference to remember. Come back to it and allow him to expand it. Having your meditation and your prayer time. I'm the most active and the most alert between like 4 o'clock and 10, right, in the morning. And then I start slowing down and I either got to get some coffee or something to help jar me to wake me back up. But what I've learned is in my most alert times is when I sit and talk to the Lord, because it's going to be crisp, it's going to be clear, and I'm going to understand what he's saying, and I'll retain it. And even if I don't, I'm at a place where I can focus and write it out. As I write it out, I can go back to it. When I go back to it, I can execute it. And so that's why writing things out, I got this, listen, this came from Dollar General. It was $1. I love to write anyway, but even if you don't write by hand, you need to have some kind of app on your phone where you can jot this stuff down. Because a lot of us have been having ideas that are profound, great ideas, and we don't move out on them. And then we look up and 2-3 months up the road, somebody is doing the very idea that God just told you to do. And so now it's time for you to start doing your own ideas the way God told you to do it. And so making sure you write stuff down as it comes to you. And again, listening to trainings, perfecting your craft. How can I walk in excellence in whatever it is that I'm supposed to be doing? If you work on cars, how can I learn more about working on cars? What can I do? Because one of the problems that we have is that in our minds, we make things out to be so big. So we may want to go back to school, but we tell ourselves, well, I'm not going to have time to, how am I going to find time to look up the school? And how am I going to find time to do such and such and such? It is not like how it used to be back in the day. Everything we need is at our fingertips. We have the internet. We have our cell phones. We can call anybody, anytime, anywhere. We can do anything. And so it's so important that you begin to maximize the wind that God is blowing. Because I'm telling you, just in this week, I have achieved things that I could not achieve for over the past, I'll say, 1.5 to 2 years. Things that were confusing. Things that I did not understand. It did not make sense. And the Lord began to breathe on these things this week. And literally, what would have taken weeks, what would have taken months, has literally been broken down into a week. And so I'm telling you, you want to maximize the wind, maximize the grace that God is releasing to get things done. He's doing it for me. He will do it for you. He wants to. Even with promotion, I really feel like some of y'all need to go back and do it again. Like whatever that thing was that you were hoping for, that you got discouraged because it looked like it wasn't going to happen. Go back and try it again, because now is the time to do it. Now is the time and the grace to be able to execute it. So why am I saying all of this? Because I am opening up my excuse me, y'all. I am accepting new clients. Now, everybody does not need to work with me, right? I am a firm believer that even with what I do, right? I'm the kind of person, if I can read it and do it myself, I'll do it. So if I can watch a video and walk this thing out and I have the time, I'll do it. But you may be the kind of person where you need a little bit more accountability. So you got an idea to start a business in some capacity, or you want to go back to school. You know God is calling you into leadership, or you know that there's something that you need to execute and you need a little bit of accountability. You need somebody that can help you. You're afraid to do it. You're afraid. Maybe it's something that you're not used to. It's brand new and you're afraid to be able to step out and do it. I am accepting clients. I'm not going to accept a whole lot because I have a lot on my plate. But I am accepting clients now. So if you want a consultation to see how you can begin to maximize the wind of God for the grace that He's releasing now, you can visit my website, www.rondasbarnes.org, and set up a consultation. It is absolutely free. 15 minutes, we can talk about where you are and where you want to be. One of the things that people have to understand, and I am a life coach, right? So I help, and most people are like, well, why do you need a coach? What is it about a coach? A life coach has the ability to help break you through so that you can begin to walk in purpose. Now, a life coach, I can't tell you what your purpose is, but I can help you discover what God is calling you to do, and then I can help you with action steps to get there. So a lot of times the Lord will have there will be signs in our lives that said, this is what I should be doing, but we just don't recognize them, right? So learning how to hear the Lord, learning how to just walk and overcome fear, getting confidence to be who God called you to be. That's what life coaches is there. We do we help you with accountability. One thing that I've learned, thank you, Herlene. One thing that I've learned even with my coach, because Herlene Ankar, the doula of the vision, she was my coach. Yeah, thank you, Yushanika. One thing that I learned with my coach who helped me was that you gotta have somebody that can, if you have struggled with procrastination, you have to have somebody who can help you. I have coaches on top of coaches. I believe in having coaches, right? I have a coach. I believe that coaches are necessary. Some people may not. But I know for me, I needed that accountability. Like, what are you doing? Where are you at? How can we get you to where you need to be? That is important, especially when you are hungry and you are tired. When you are tired of living in the position that you are and you know that there is something greater, you need a coach to help bridge that gap so that you can begin to walk. Coaches are seasonal. They are not something that you got to have forever. But a good coach is going to break you through so you can start running forward. And so that's what I do. And we help shorten the time. So with the expertise and the understanding and the wisdom that we have the ability to give you tools and give you things that you need to help shorten your time of just processing. A lot of times, literally, and I'm going to give you all this story because I'm telling you, it blew my mind. The Lord blew my mind. And it just reminded me of how we are a move. We, human beings, are God's hands and feet in the earth. So when you're looking for a move of God, people carry a move. People are movement. Like, God will use a person to literally shift and open up an area that has been closed, right? I have this really good friend. We work in this certain capacity. And just from watching her and having a conversation with her, she introduced something. Just her life, this is just what she do. It's a part of her gift. But she introduced this process of doing things, of executing this certain task. And I'm trying not to give everything away. But she introduced this process of executing a specific task. Literally, this one small thing caused the wind to begin to blow in my life. Literally, everything, stuff that had been stuck for 2-3 years, caused my life and caused the wind to blow for me to begin to move. So don't sleep on resources. People are resources. People are moves of God. God can use a person to literally shift you into the right direction and align you with what God is calling you to do. So that's why I am an advocate for coaches, life coaches, and mentors. You need to be accountable to somebody, but you also need someone who has the ability to help correct when you are in the wrong place, or when you're not operating properly, or when you are doing something that it may take a slight shift, right? But now is the time for people to really begin to start moving and doing what you're called to do. The only thing that stops us from moving forward is us. And us meaning whether it's because we have a lack of knowledge, whether it's because we have fear, whether it's because we don't have resources, whatever that thing is. But we have so many resources out here now that whatever you don't know, you have the ability to get it. So I am saying, if you need a consultation, you can go to my website and schedule a free consultation. 15 minutes. Bam, we keep it moving and see what we can do, how we can work together. I know many coaches, so I may not be the one that can help you, but I know a lot of people who have a grace and a wisdom like no other to help you get moving to where you need to be. So it's time to maximize that win. I'm excited. I need to see what people are doing. What are you doing? What did God call you to do? What is that thing that is going to change the world? What were you designed and created to do? What need were you designed and created to meet? Because now is the time to do it. because whatever's in you is going to help change the world. So I'm excited to see what people are going to do. But I want to open it up really quickly for you to ask me any question that you, Shanika, you funny time I make sure you ready, but she telling the truth. But yeah, I want to open it up really quickly so that if you have any questions or anything that you want to know, anything like that, let me know and I will answer your questions from any any area. Because if you don't have questions, I'm assuming you know, or like you're good. Okay. So a question on Periscope says, I am struggling with procrastination. How can I move forward to start walking in my purpose? Okay, so again, like I said this earlier, but if you are struggling with procrastination, there are a few things that you can do to get yourself moving. Number one, usually procrastination is because you are not fully clear on where you want to be. And so if that is the case, you need to sit and pray and start meditating to figure out what you want to do, right? But also, if you know there's a task that you need to do, sometimes you need to connect to somebody else that can help get your wheels turning. That's where we talked about the village and connecting to people who have and know what you don't know, having friends, mentors, coaches who can help shift you and push you into the right direction. And so that's why it's important. Connecting to people can help pull you out of procrastination. Getting around, listening to music or things that motivate you can pull you out of procrastination. Understanding why you want to move forward, understanding your why will help pull you out of procrastination. These are just simple tips that can get you motivated, because usually you procrastinate because it's stuff that you really don't want to do. And so if it's something that you really don't want to do, you have to go back to your why to see why you're doing it. Because when you're doing the thing that you've been called to do, when you're walking in purpose, that thing will energize you. That thing will give you a second wind when you feel like forget this thing, I don't want to deal with it. So when you have extended, prolonged procrastination, you want to start evaluating why you do what you do. Because that will let you know, am I walking in purpose? Because purpose energizes us. Purpose fuels us to move forward. Purpose is that thing where even when I'm tired, I can still muster up the energy of what I need to be able to execute. So think about it. You have to think about that thing. Procrastination, usually you procrastinate because you I just don't want to deal with it. But why? That's the question. Why? Ask your question why. Okay, any more questions? Thank you, ma'am. Good. Okay. So if nobody else has any questions. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you visit my website, set up your consultation. It is free, 15 minutes. So that we can see how we can start helping you maximize the wind of God that He's breathing right now, so that you can begin to become the movement that this earth needs. You can become a testimony in somebody's life of the goodness of the Lord. Hallelujah. Shanana. Thank you, Lord. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you again next week. I will be going live on Thursdays because Tuesdays I'm extremely busy. So Thursdays at 8 is the new time, so be on the lookout. Have a great night.